Hello and welcome back to Just Painted, and welcome back. And I have right here in front of you I have my new release, my own kit. And if you guys saw the preview on this, this is the kit that I produced, sculpted by V3D, Artthur Vergne. And this is a kit from the movie The Warriors, and is the Swan. It's the first release for the series. Hopefully there'll be more coming down the road if it's successful. All right, but what I want to show you today is how I do the process of getting the kit ready for painting. And this is going to be a multi-part video. It's going to be a tutorial, part of the series on how I paint this kit. So we're going to have, prepping the kit for painting, and then obviously painting the kit and all that stuff like that. But we're going to go from the process from the start all the way to the end. And this might be, I don't know how many parts it's going to be, but I want to start off by doing the prepping of the kit for painting. Now this is one that came off freshly off the printer. Okay, so I haven't done any cleanup to it. All right, all the little stubbles from the printer are still there. Okay, everywhere here where the supports were. And this is basically how you're going to get the kit when you get it from me. You're going to have to do the post, all the cleanup and everything like that. But it's not that bad. Don't get scared, because any kind of model kit that you're going to buy on the market, may it be a vinyl kit, a resin kit, a plastic kit, with the sprues and things like that, they're all going to need some type of cleanup and prep before you do any kind of painting, before you do all that stuff. So there's a little bit more involved than just putting some primer on and then just painting it. All right, there's some little things that need to be done. So that's how it goes. It's a model kit, and all model kits from any kind of medium needs to be prepped. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do today. This is the 1/6 scale model. I offer them in two different scales. The 1/6, which is this one. Okay, and then I have the 1/8 scale. Okay, it's a little bit smaller. All right, and I offer these two on my Facebook page, and I'll leave also my email. If you guys are interested, you can contact me there or PM me on Facebook. And I'll leave both links down below so you can contact me if you're interested in getting this kit. Like I said before, this is a model kit that I'm offering and not an STL. So don't ask me for the STL. I do not offer the STL on this. All right. For many reasons, and one of them is I don't want the STL to go out to like an Etsy page for $1. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot invested into this, and that's how I'm going to be selling them, as a kit. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be processing, and there's a lot of different materials that you can use for prepping this kit, and I'm going to show you some of the ones that I usually use. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be using one more than the other. I use them depending on, sorry about that, my leg is going crazy. There we go, I think I got it right. So there's a lot of different materials that you can use for prepping this. This is one that I just bought, actually, and one of the guys from our group, the Styrene Syndicate, Thomas Cochran, he actually bought one of these, and I was like, I'm gonna try that. I think I see somebody else using this one, but these are little sanding pads that you can put on, and it's battery operated, which is great. All right, and they come with different pads, different grits. You got a 600, 800, and a 1000, which they work out. I tried already, as you can see, and it works out great. The other ones that I liked a lot is the spay sponges. They all come in different grits, also finer grits and stuff, and some coarser ones, so you can use any ones you want on those. I use regular sanding paper, wet or dry. other types of sanding sponges, which 3M makes some really good sponges, and they're not that expensive, and they come in different. You can get them in a bag where they're fine, super fine, ultra fine, and things like that. And there's a bunch of different size sponges, so I cut them off, and I use what I need. And you can cut them off to shapes too. Like if you need to get into tough spots, you can cut these into shapes and get in there and sand whatever you need to sand. You can use little sanding sticks, or you got a fine on one side and a more coarse one on the other. And I have different types sanding sticks, like for nail files. I got a coarse and a fine one here. All right, you can steal that from your wife's. All right, and then I have these. This is like a buffer stick. Okay, and it's doesn't have much of a grit on it, and this is like, there's no grit on this at all. But what it's good for is for buffing, to make sure that you get a nice smooth finish at the end, like a nice buttery smooth finish, which works great. All right, and those are the stuff for sanding and prepping your kit. Now you're gonna probably have to do some seam lines and things like that, and filling holes. Like I have drain holes here on top of the head. I showed a video how to use a sprue or a plastic piece to cover that, and then you can sculpt over it by putting just a little bit of putty maybe and just sculpting over the hair. Very easy. But the reason why, and I learned this, that many people are starting to do, is not to print the kit this way, because it'll deteriorate the fit of the head or the key part of the, to get better fits, and you're not going to get a nice fit because it's going to deteriorate. The 3D print, this stuff will probably deteriorate something like this, and you won't get a perfect fit. Where here, you see the fit they get here? That's minor gap filling. Not even a gap, it's just a seam line. You have no gaps on this right here in this fit at all, around the neck, which is very nice, because you can even use like a little bit of resin, UV cleared, or you can use like a little bit of CA glue and just fill that in and sand it in, and you're gonna have a nice perfect fit. Okay, so that's that for that, and that's the reason why they do it like this. Hair is easy to sculpt. Okay, and there's going to be a little bit of cleaning involved here. See, you got these little stubs, right? Now this is a positive stub, or you get a negative where it creates a hole. Now the holes where you can use is here, just a new bottle, and there's already got hard. I got to get a black bottle so this way it doesn't get hard on me. There's a little bit left here, but this is resin, 3D resin. It's clear, and I use that to do the little potholes and sand those down. Okay, or any other perfection. Or you could do the seam line. Okay, but you use a UV light for that. Okay, and you cure it that way. All right, and we're gonna, if we have to use it, we'll use that. Other things that I use for filling larger gaps is this stuff right here. Okay, is a Fix This Sculpt by Aves. Okay, and this is really good stuff. This putty is 2-part putty, A and B. You're gonna mix equal amounts. Okay, and you don't need to use a lot to make this stuff. To do a little bit, you just a little bit at a time. But then this I learned from Vince Feld Customs. Okay, he uses this stuff a lot to sculpt hair and to do seam lines and stuff like that. And safety solvent actually helps you get a nice smooth finish with this stuff. All right, that stuff works great because I do seam lines with this stuff all the time, and I get really nice finishes all the time with that. I highly recommend it to do larger gaps. I do not recommend to use UV curing resin for larger gaps, because you don't know if you're going to be able to get the light inside those deep crevices, and if you have uncured resin in there, it can become a problem because it leach out, and then it won't get a good bonding and stuff like that, and things could go wrong later on down the road. This stuff like this, I like to do very minor things with it. All right, and I use other materials to use for filling gaps and stuff like that. Another thing that you can use, oh, that's not the right one. Let me see if I can find it somewhere around here. I think I have it, and I don't. All right. If I find it, I'll show it to you guys later. You can use the Tamiya putty, which works pretty good for doing little small gaps and things like that too. I thought I had some, but I do have some, but I just don't know where I put it. So, but anyway, we're going to start today doing this, prepping the kit for ready for painting. All right. Now, if you get a nice, good seal on this, see, you're going to have the supports here, so you're going to have to clean that up and see what kind of fit you're going to get at the end, where you might not need to do any kind of seam work, which is that good because. But then if you have to, you just put a little bit of seams around the edges and you should be fine. All right, you're going to sand that down a little bit. All right, the kit was actually prepared by a good friend, and if it wasn't for him, you know, I thank him very much for all the work that he did to help me prep the kit for printing so I can release it. And what do you call it? He made sure that everything was set up for printing for doing this kind of job. Now, there's other holes, drain holes, that need to be filled. Like that right there, I probably won't be able to get a plexus spruce, so I'm going to fill that with putty and carve it and things like that and clean it up. Same thing with this one. All right, and that is to prevent, you know, the resin to get it trapped in there and all things like that. All right, but there's a little bit of work. The shoes are solid, and you could probably, if you need to pin them, you could probably pin them going into the thicker part of the shoe. Now, if you see paint in my hand, that's because we were doing Way of the Dragon a little while ago. All right, so I had to leave that episode short because I had to go run out and do something for someone, kind of like an emergency. I don't know why this light's not working for me. But then I had a little bit of emergency that I had to run out and help somebody with. Nothing bad, but you know. But I had to cut that one short, so I figured let me start this video now and get this prepped. All right. Now sometimes you're going to see like little layer lines and things like that. It won't come out real smooth, but you know there's other materials that we're going to use to do to clean up this stuff so it looks really, really good. So once you prime it, you're good to go. Sometimes when you lay down a primer, what's going to happen is that some other imperfections are going to show up that you can't see. And the good thing is that the primer that I use for this stuff, it's a sandable primer. You can go in there and clean up and sand. It won't, you know, won't gum up or things like that. It's a nice sanding. It's an automotive sandable primer. Okay, and it fills imperfections, but sometimes those things are visible where you're going to have to go back and sand them down or do a little rework to get it just right. That's okay, you know, because nothing is perfect. So, you know, those are things that we're going to have to go in and work on. Now, there are other videos out there how people prep this stuff. You can go to Red Dragon Model Works. He has a couple of things how he does his work. It's a couple of videos. You have one that just released by Evolution X. I'll leave links for these guys down below if you guys want to go check out their videos. Evolution X just released how he does the prepping work. It was a very good video. Other ones that I can think of off the top of my head right now is some more guys that are more common out there. Ground Affected, Brent Gowdy. He has a couple of videos on how he preps 3D prints, and so does the Creative Collector. He has a bunch of videos on how he does preparation for his 3D printed kits. Now, those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head right now. There's probably more out there, and a lot of them use similar techniques, but you know, as long as the outcome at the end is all the same, where the kit it looks really good and is ready to paint, I think they're all good. Somebody have a little more different methods and different techniques, and that's all okay, as long as it works. And you know, I'm just going to show you how I do it. And if you want to go over there and check out how other people do it, that's more than fine. You could go, or you can combine all the different types of methods and come up with your own. That's okay too. So we're going to start working on this, start sanding, and let me get the table ready for that. Okay, so I'll be back in a little bit. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start using some sponges to start sanding certain parts. Like I said, I have these Spay. These are still got a little meat on them, so I'm going to try to use up these before I go to new ones. like I said, you can use anything you want to use that you've been using, or try using something new. It's totally up to you. What See, when you start using these, you can cut these off and get rid of the. Okay, and okay, but use any material that you feel that is going to work for you. Okay, and there's different methods to use, and some people like to use like a wet sanding, which is good. I sometimes use it for certain things to get more. You don't want to take out too much meat where then it's not going to fit properly, or it's going to leave too much of a gap. Right here, all you want to do is just get a smooth surface enough to where the two ends are going to bond properly. Okay, and it's not going to have any bump surface where it's going to throw off the fit. And I'm not using a very thick grit. I'm with the medium grit from my set. Okay, there we go. Get this one. Okay. Now the key, I want to make sure that it has a good fit. So take these bumps out. Even though you're not going to see this stuff, you want to clean it up just so you get a good fit. And just feel with your fingers. You might feel the bumps there. So, like I said, sometimes when you do after you do the priming, not here, but in other areas of other imperfections might show up, and you might have to go back in and sand again. All right. But Artthur from V3D did a great job at cutting this, so you get some nice fits and stuff. It's just a little cleaning involved. See where the bumps were right there? The belt buckle? You want to clean those off. It's all how much you want to put into it. There's a little cleaning involved, and but it's easy to do. Just takes a little time and love, so you can get a good finished kit. So let me do a little quick test fit, see how it fits. Okay. So I know this needs to turn a little bit. Right there. Little CA glue or a little bit of putty will fix that, no problem. All right. So there we go. See a little bump right there. It's not going to need much of fill in there, so that's perfect. All right. All right. So now let's continue with the bust here and check to see what else needs to be cleaned up. It's going to need a little bit of buffing. Look right there and here in the chest a little bit. All right, but what I do want to do is I want to smooth out this whole area right here. This is where the supports were on the bottom. The supports do damage to the kit. It'll leave the bumps or the indentations, and those need things that need to be fixed or done or sanded. But there's really not a whole lot of work that you need to do to clean the kit up and to get it ready for painting. The supports, the way he sets them up, the things, they come out really, really easily. They don't do a whole lot of damage. He has a lot of years experience doing this stuff, and I'm glad that I went with him to do this. It's just phenomenal. I think I got a little paint when I was spray painting, because I had this ready to go for the next filming, and I think a little overspray on this thing, but that's all right because they're going to hide that with the primer, so it's no big deal. All right, so I do want to get a finer to do the little buffing and cleanup. Okay. So this is very, very fine. right? And I want to do, see, I started making a mess already. I do want to get a little bit of a finer finish on certain areas. Like I can see little, the primer might hide that, but you just want to give it a quick little pass. This stuff comes off really easily, and it won't show up once you get in there and prime it. Just showing up here a little bit more. Just get those areas that, you know, are a little more pronounced than others. That's not too bad. It's just a little cleanup. And with the light, whichever, you know, you guys probably won't be able to see that. Right now you just see the dust that I made. But I could see it from close up. And I want to make sure I take care of that. Switching glasses real quick so I can see better. And that's not too bad. Just a little bit right there. And if you don't have to bear down on this thing, don't go Mongo on it. Just go nice and gently. Once I'm done sanding and cleaning up and everything, just to buff it real quick, just to make sure that you're getting a nice smooth finish. And you're not going to see anything. Like, you don't want to do a lot of rework, but sometimes it happens, especially with a 3D print. You know, there's things that you might miss or might not see. And things, and once you prime it, then the things start to pop out and you start to notice them. All right, that looks good. I love the way you sculpted everything in, man. This guy was good. All the details and stuff. Very nice. Very happy the way it came out. All right, so this is the bus. Let's put them to the side. All right, now you can wipe them off and check. She got a damp rag and just wipe them out. Let it dry, and then we'll check it, see what kind of condition everything is in. I'll show you how to use the buff. Alright, so I'm going to let that dry, a little damp rag. Alright, so now I see some different areas over here in the pants. I don't know if you guys can see these imperfections right here. These lines, layer lines, little swirls and stuff, whatever. Make sure I stay in focus too. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, you can see them probably with this powder. Right? But they go away with a gentle sanding. And like I said, a lot of this, the primer is going to cover it. So just to the camera there for you guys could see a little better. I was just looking at that. I wasn't paying too much attention to the little camera. To a little window, but yeah. A little bit more of a close-up from another angle. So, and as far as the color goes, that color is totally different than what this one is. Just pay attention to this because this is going to be, it's more, a little bit more true here. Okay, on the big camera, on the big lens. Okay, where I have this one here, the little one. It's a different lens, so it captures everything a little bit differently. But the color's more actually this here. I'm a little more paler than that. So, and it doesn't take a lot, guys. It really doesn't take a lot to get nice smooth finish. That's what you want. You want nice smooth finish. And not a very thick sandpaper. Doesn't take a lot. Just get in there and get rid of those little whatever imperfections you might see, or something that you don't want. You know, not. You know, this is the nature of the model and the print. All right. Sometimes you're gonna see it. Sometimes you know. I know the primer is gonna hide most of this stuff, but if I see it, this is who I am. I'm gonna want to make sure that it's clean. All right, because I hate doing double work. I don't want to come back here when it's primed and do a lot of sanding. I'd rather get it done now, if I see it, and take care of it now. Because if it does show through on the priming stage, then you got to come back and, you know, do it over. Okay, so we got the 4 bumps that we need to take care of. Maybe a little bit on the belt buckle corner right there. Alright, so this looks pretty good. Alright, so I got a little bit of the residual here. So it didn't get hard, and let me use that. Now, these 4 bumps right here, you don't want to go too crazy. Don't put a lot on it because you're going to have to sand that down. And you want to make sure that UV gets through the whole resin. So, okay. So I got a little drop. You see right there. Just going to barely just touch. Fill those little holes. Alright. And I get some UV light. Okay. And I just stay there for a little bit. Make sure that I get a good cure in there. And it's getting through the hole. Don't shine this on your eyes, guys. You know. You try just to look away and let it do its job. Alright, UV is not good for your eyes. Don't point it at anybody. You know, be conscientious of it. Be very careful. They do come with special glasses. I'm not even looking at this or anything like that, so it should be good. Okay, good. So now, just sand it off. You got little bumpies now. Instead of negative, you got a positive. Alright, so just sand those down until you get the surface nice and smooth. Alright, so really happy the way that's looking right now. Hopefully not a lot of imperfections will show up. You're gonna have to sand this again, but it looks very, very nice from here. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with it. Hopefully when we prime it, it's gonna look really good. Alright, you want that smooth, nice, smooth finish. So this still needs to be washed. Alright, so let's keep on moving on. It's all about the prepping, guys. Alright, so again, the arm, his left arm comes in 2 different choices. It's with the train handle or the back. Okay, so you can pick and choose which one you want. I'm going to go with the one that I originally wanted, which is the train handle. Okay, but this you can sand it smooth, pretty good. All right, the arms are the same other than what they're holding in their hand. So let's go with this guy. And I still have some little supports there that need to be removed. Okay, and that's no big deal. You just grab your knife and you just cut them off. It should come out pretty easy. Okay. Alright. Oop, that went inside. I guess there's going to be a little present in there. And I'm going to show you how I do the holes. Alright, so don't worry about that right now. What you want to worry about is getting everything sanded nice and smooth. So got a couple little supports on the nails. And I want to make sure on the fingers, tip of the fingers, not the nails, but. And again, guys, this is me being a little OCD-ish. So, you know, I like to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. Like the primer might hide a lot of this stuff, but I'm trying to save you the extra work that you're going to need to do if you don't do it and using a different type of primer. Like I said, I recommend the automotive primer, the sandable one. It's by Krylon. or Rust-Oleum, one of the two. Now these lines right here is from his elbow, so just be careful, don't sand those down. So it goes, little gaps gonna have to be filled and sand it down and cleaned up, but that's not gonna be a problem. All right. That's good. So I'm happy with that. There you go. Now, when I was saying about buffing, let me show you with this real quick. So something like this, you have different types of grits. This is more like kind of almost what I'm using right now. And this is a lot less than this. So I'm going to start off with this side right here. Okay. And I'm just going to go all over the figure. And this is not going to take away anything. It's just going to buff out and smooth everything out. And take away any of the scratches that you might have left with the sandpaper. Or the sand sponge. Or whatever you're using. Alright, and you're going to buff it out. And go over everywhere you went. Just try not to, you don't want to get rid of any of the details, like the veins or the wrinkles behind the elbow. Alright, things like that. There's a lot of little details in this, so in the end you want to try to eliminate, having to sand stuff over and over again. So just try to get it done now. And then the little ones and stuff, the primer will hide it, which is good. Okay, so let's move on to something else. Let's do the head. All right, let's prep the head out. And once I'm done sanding, we're going to start doing some putty work, filling out the holes, okay, and things like that. So, all right, and I'll show you how to do that. So now you got some nice little bumps. You get the knife and just pop them out. Go real gently. You got some holes that you need to fill here. So we'll get to those. Do a little bit at a time. It's a process, but just take your time, do it right. Okay, so now that I took all those big bumps out and everything like that, the supports, let me get a couple here real quick before I start sanding. All right, and you want to do is gentle sanding to get some of those bumps taken care of. See, I'm going to carve this one out. There we go. But you want to make sure you don't take out all the detail. Okay, I got a little bit of fill here. It's no big deal. Alright, and then so I'm going to gather the sand sponge and then just going to go gently, like with the point, just to get some of this stuff cleaned up. So I'm trying to see which spots needs to be filled. So I'm going to wipe this off. I got a couple. So I'm going to do that now because I don't want that stuff to show when I start painting. So let's do that now and give it a little go. I got on there. And then we're going to recarve some of this hair. Now I know there's videos out there that show you how guys, they just print and then, they do a little work and then they're painting. There's a lot more to it that goes into this stuff, guys, honestly. My videos, you see how I do my videos, and I know they're a little long, but I like for you guys to watch and see how things are really done. Mistakes are made, nobody's perfect, all right? So, I like to go in there and pretty much show you the whole process of this thing to try to make it look good, so you come out with a nice finish. And this is what the real process is to try to get this stuff done. All right, there's work that has to go into it. Okay, and for you to get good results. Just to let you know that there is a little work to get done on just any kit, not just the resin, the plastic models, resin models, vinyl models, all that stuff. You have to put a little bit of elbow work, right? And that's the honest truth, right? Sometimes people get discouraged of how much work is really need to be done on some of this stuff, and they don't realize that this is just like any other model kit. Yeah, you can have somebody pay somebody to do this stuff for you, but it takes the, it's not fun that way. Because once you're done, before you prime, you need to wash this. All right. Okay, so now I want to clean up the face a little bit. Don't forget that he has a mole, so you don't want to. All right. So we're going to use the very, very fine sandpaper again, sand sponge. I'm just going to clean up the forehead. I'm going to leave some. Usually where the swirls end up, they end up underneath the chin. So make sure you see right there, the swirl. Okay. So make sure you sand that down a little bit. All right. You don't want that to show up while your paint. Usually the chin is one of the known spots where this stuff shows up, because that is the last part of the print. This area. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to grab my buffer. My big ass buffer. He's huge. And just buff it out real quick. All right. Alright, so that's pretty much the process, guys. You keep on doing that, and cleaning up and sanding. I still have one arm left to do. Okay. But you guys got to get the point. I don't want to repeat and do the other arm on the camera. Get you guys bored. I still have to do the sneakers. Other than that, the sneakers look pretty good. I just got to clean up the bottom just to have a nice flat surface to make sure to get rid of all those bumps. All right, so welcome back, and what we're going to do now is we're going to fill in the holes. Okay, and there's only on the figure there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, nothing else is needed for fold filling. Okay, and the base, the feet are going to be in but this is the standard base. If you're going to plan on upgrading from the standard to the deluxe, there's more work to be done to the deluxe set. I just got the test print today on this. So let me show you what I have. And this thing is freaking huge. So I got all the pieces here, but there's work to be done on this. Okay. Like I said, this is a test piece, but I'm still going to use it for the display. Alright, it's no worth to, I'll just use this one and print out some better ones later on, but there's a little bit of work to do, not much. Like I said, this is a model kit, guys, so there's a little work to be done to these, but this is the deluxe version. Obviously you're going to need to fill some holes and clean up some of these areas, fill up holes on the top. There's a little more work to do to this than the figure, as far as seam work on the doors, holes, sanding, and I'm going to do, it's the same process as doing the figure as far as the sanding and the cleaning up, but I will do that off camera, but a lot of the other stuff hopefully I'll be able to do on camera for you guys to see. I'm afraid to making this video too long. Now there's a little bit of fitting that needs to be done on the key for the doors. You're gonna have to sand this down a little bit to get it to fit right. Okay, no big deal. I just did a little bit of sanding work to get the keys, and I just took it off. So I don't want to do it in the air. You know what I mean? Just have Just try not to break the keys. Make sure you get a good fit. Once you glue it on and everything is set down right, you shouldn't have a problem with it. Same thing with this frame right here. Okay. The bottom piece for this is solid. This is hollow, the top piece, which comes off. Okay. All right. But the bottom pieces are hollow to give you a little bit of more stabilization. And the keys are a little different on these. If you see, the one is a little shorter and wider. All right, that's just what, this way you don't get these confused. And make sure that these rivets are in the front, just like that. Okay, and then you put the top piece on with the rivets facing forward. These right here. Okay, so you can make sure I got that in camera. And you just place them in there, and it should fit. No problem. There's a little cleaning for fitting and everything like that needs to be done. All right, from all the stubs and stuff like that from the printing. But that's the frame. And then you have a left side door. All right, now they fit in a certain way. All right, to get the right. So you'll see once you start to fit these. Let me get this over here. Okay, you can't fit the one in the other. You know, and they're not going to fit right. So you're going to be able to fit them only in one way. All right. And you're going to glue and do maybe a little seam work there. Okay. And you're going to place it in place. Okay. Goes in very easily once you sand down those keys a little bit. All right. If you get in, it's a little rough to get in there, just sand the key down a little bit. And just work with it, dry fit it. Boom. That's it. You got it in there. No problem. This one's a little bit tougher, I think. No, I sanded it right. There you go. And it should fit perfectly and give you a nice square. All right. And that's the door. This is a huge piece. A lot of resin. There's a lot more resin used on the door than on the figure. Just to let you know. So, all right. But at this moment right now as I'm doing this, I don't have the pricing down yet for the figures for both scales. And those will be available when I do the release, obviously. But I'm trying to make keep the kit not too expensive and affordable for people to buy. So I'm still working on that, trying to figure out how much resin is being used, so I can calculate properly and make the proper offer for it. All right, but that's what I'm working on right now. A lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff still in process as far as the packaging and all the other stuff, but so this way you guys know that I'm already started to work so I can make a promo kit and a display kit for the videos and stuff like that. So all right, so there's a little bit of cleaning up to do. See those little lines and stuff? These are not hard to come off. You're just going to do a little light sanding. All right, like I said, this one as of right now, this is the test print. And I just got it in from the printer that is setting up all my files for me to print properly. Okay, so I got a couple test prints out there, and I want to use this one for this project. Okay, send me a bunch of stuff. I got a big box full of stuff and all the test prints, how they all came out and things like that. So I'm very happy where everything is going. And so, but right now we're going to start filling in holes. Okay, so because of the fingers and the angle, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit a sprue or a rod, plastic little rod in there, and to get the right cut. So I'm going to do this with putty, both hands. The head I'm going to use a rod, so this way you guys can see how I do that, and then how I sculpt in the hair. All right, so this way you guys get an idea. All right. You can use putty too. I might end up doing that, just backfilling it with a rod and building it up with a little putty. All right, we'll see how that works out. I think that'll be the best bet for that. All right, and then I'll show you how to do do a short segment on the on using a sprue or a styrene rod and putting in the holes, cutting it. I have a video on that already, but I want to give you a complete package, kind of, as far as the tutorial goes. All right, so we're going to start doing that now. What I'm going to be using for filling in these holes is going to be the A's Fix It Sculpt, okay, and along with the safety solvent. All right, And let me get those tools that I need for that, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you. All right, so let's continue, and so we're gonna get the fix it sculpt, 2 parts, A and B. You don't need a lot, so 1 second. All right, so you got quite a bit of working time for this stuff, and you know you're gonna have to let it dry before you do any sanding. So that's how much I'm going to grab right there for that. Just for now. If you need more, we grab some more. I just don't want to waste. Okay. And then part B, grab about the same amount. More or less. You guys hearing weird noises? That's my stomach. Alright, there you go. Not too bad. And you mix it together. And you're going to mix it really good until you get a uniform color. Alright, so as your mix, it's a solid color now. So, alright, and put a little of the safety solvent inside like a little cup right here. Just, you don't need a lot. All right, I start off with about that much right there. All right, and I used this the other day. That's why I'm using the same cup. All right, and then one of the good things to use is get yourself some of these. This one's banged up, but get some of these silicone little sculpting tools. Okay, they work great for what you're going to be doing here, and I'll show you how to use this stuff. All right, it's not that hard. All right, so I'll grab a little piece, and let's start with this hand right here. Okay, and we're going to do this hole right here. Okay, so basically you can stuff it. Okay, and then build something behind it. Okay, and it just doesn't have a lot of depth in it. And just break it off right there. Alright, so now what you do is you grab your alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to dip your silicone tool into the safety solvent and then just start working it. Alright, and this, what it does is going to smooth it out, and you can sculpt with this stuff, and you know, work. Like if you want to put the lines back in from the hand, you can do that. And things like that. Most of the stuff is going to be hidden because his hand is going to be like this, close to his pants. But you still want to cover that hole and get a good finish. Now what the safety solvent does, it breaks it down a little bit so you can smooth it out. Alright. And if you watch Vince Bale Customs, I'll leave a link down below. He uses this stuff all the time, and I learned from this stuff from watching him. And he uses this stuff all the time. But he does a lot of customization to his kits, and he uses this stuff like for hair and for other things. And I find this safety they have epoxy sculpt too, but this stuff is a little bit easier to work. All right, it's a little bit softer, I guess, and I find it a lot easier to do this kind of work right here. So that's why I use the Fix It Sculpt, and it's a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to work with. Okay, and I just try to blend in everything all together. And then all you got to do is just some very, very light sanding. You don't need to go crazy and, you know, sand this whole thing down. You just keep on working the putty with the solvent until you get it. You feel like you got a nice. Let's do the other hand. Okay. and just stuff it in there. You can work it a little bit with the one of these ends right here. Just push it in and then break it off. Alright. Then you get your safety solvent. See how I want to get some to cover this hole right here. And you start working it. Very simple to use. Very effective. Very little sanding once you start to actually do the work. Okay, just blend those edges in. Get as much safety solvent as you need. Just get it, wet your tool, and that should be good enough. Right there. Okay? Very simple to use. Now you can use any putty. You can use the Tamiya putty. But I like this stuff because with the solvent, you're able to like smooth it out really, really nicely. It doesn't get brittle or anything like that. And you get some really good results from it. Alright, so here we go. Okay. This hole right here, you're going to need a little work. So you could back stuff it right there. Just add some, I like to stuff it in there and see what kind of, you're going to need a little bit more. See, when you don't have nothing to back it in, to back it up in there, like something to, you're going to have to make sure that you don't push too hard or you're going to, there's nothing in the back to hold it up, so that's what I'm trying to say. But you can work it. It's not too big deal. I've done it before. And you can sculpt this stuff out, guys. I mean, and you can get rid of whatever you don't need. All right, see how smooth it gets in there with the safety solvent. It gets in there nicey nice. So you can grab your knife. Okay, you can shave off any excess that you don't want. Just try to remember where the hole is. All right, because you don't want it to build up too much. All right. There we go. Just look around. All right. And this stuff is easy to sculpt. So I want to get a nice smooth blend first. Okay, you can always come in and sand it just very gently to get rid of any rough edges. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to sculpt the hair. Okay. This stuff is very easy to do. So I feel comfortable with the blend. Okay. All right, so now follow what you have there. Very gently just sculpt your hair in. I'm using the back of the knife. Okay, I'm not using this part of the knife, I'm using the back of it. Alright, so you're gonna, when you pull, you might pull a little putty back. Just leave it alone. You don't have to get crazy because you can sand that off later on. Alright, but just try to go to one direction. Just follow one direction, just sculpt some hair in. And if it looks a little hard, don't worry about it because you're going to come in and you're going to sand it. And you're going to blend it in. Alright. Just wipe your blade very carefully. Alright. And I'm following the follicles that are. Okay, so right now it looks a little rough. Alright, but once you sand it down a little bit and then put the primer over it, you're not going to tell that it's even there. Alright, so I almost dropped that knife on me. So see how I carved out the follicles right there? Alright, not the follicles, but you know, the hair itself. So just clean, you know, just if you see, there we go. Got a little schmeckle. Alright, right there. That's it. That was it. So you're going to let this stuff dry overnight. All right, just so you know you get a good finish. It takes about, you know, 4 or 6 hours sometimes. But I like to leave it overnight, you know, so this way when I come back, I know that it's nice and dry, and I can sand it down with no problem, and just blend in everything together, and you won't even tell that sucker's there. All right, same thing with the hands. All right, and that's it. Those are 3 holes for the figure itself. Okay, and then, you know, off camera, I'm going to be working on the base, but I will come back and show you how to do the holes on that with a different material, so you guys get an idea. See all the leftover I have? Didn't need it. Didn't need that much. All right. All right. So welcome back. So what we did left off yesterday was we filled in the holes. All right. And nope, not that one. Where is it? I got a mess over here, guys, already, so forgive me because I've been sanding, trying to get stuff out of the way. I let this stuff dry. Okay. And there's the results right there. Just needs a little bit of sanding to smooth it out a little bit. Now this one here, I had to put a little, and I found it, by the way. Okay, the Tamiya putty. And I also have plastic putty by Vallejo, which also works pretty good. All right, or you could use the 2-part epoxy. Fix it, sculpt. Okay. Now what I did, because there was a little hole there, and I just wanted to make sure that I got it and I cleaned off. So now what you do is you just go in after it dries and you sand it off and you clean stuff up. All right, and get a nice smooth finish. All right. Just there was a little bit still indentation that needed to be covered, and I just. Now, the thing with the Tamiya putty, if you're going to use this, like I just did here before, it dries very fast. There's not really a whole lot of working time with it. So it's good to do a quick job to fill in little gaps and little holes and stuff, but you got to be quick, all right? Because it does dry very fast, all right? And let me do just clean up the head a little bit. I did carve. And when you wash this, all that grittiness in between the hair that you sculpt should come out. Okay, I'm pretty happy where that is right there. Okay, it should come out really nice. Okay. Once you prime it. Okay, so now next, I started working on this before. Okay, now we're going to do the holes. Okay, now what I did is I ran out of the right size hole rod for the holes before, and I have here, these are sprues left over from one of the models that I built, right? So I keep these and I cut them up and I use them just for this purpose, or for something else or whatever. But you see, I collect different sizes and things like that, and I put them all in a bag or whatever. But they also sell styrene rods like this. All right, and I got a couple different ones, but like I said, I ran out. This is a mixed bag, and this is rod and tube. Some of them, these are hollow, and some of them are solid. All right, but I like to buy the solid ones. You know, hollow ones I was using for a different project. I had more of these in different sizes, solid ones, but I ran out. And then I had these. These are 4.8 millimeter. All right, these are a little bit bigger than what the hole was. So very gently I went with a drill and I widened it at the right size so I can fit it. Okay, there you go, right there. Now these are the ones that are inside the rail. What I'm going to do is, there we go, inside the rail, I'm just going to fill these with putty because I don't think I'm going to be able to get in there and cut it shallow. So I'm going to go in there with putty and then go in maybe with a stick, with a sanding stick, okay, and sand it smooth. All right, I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of putty work in there just to cover these holes. Maybe put something in there as a backing and then put the putty and then do it that way. All right, but if you're going to just use putty for something like this, you're gonna have to put some kind of backing into it, because otherwise you're gonna keep on getting divots. All right, and the way that I found to do this really easy is, I'm gonna show you real quick. All right, it should. Now I can't get it out. There you go. Let me find the tools that I need real quick. I made a video for this. You can go back and check it out. But I'm going to show you here real quick how I do it. I'm going to show you maybe one or two. And then, you know, there's things that need to be filled. These three holes here on the bottom, this bottom part of the door. All right. And then, see, when I was drilling these right here. Oh, sorry. When I was drilling these here right here on the top of the door, I broke this corner. And I went a little fast on this hole. You got to go really slow if you don't want to break it off. And I did have to glue this. You can barely tell. Now, like I said, this is going to be my demo piece. So I just fixed it and glued it really quick. This is not something that I would turn around and sell if it broke off, something like that. But this is going to be, you're going to be doing these yourself. You get the right size rod to fill in the hole, or fill in the hole the way you want. I find this this method a little bit easy to do. Okay, and I'm going to show you real quick. So what you do is you grab a little glue. Just put a little bit. You don't have to go all the way in either. You just go far enough to. You want to get just a little glue and just spread it all around. All right. And put in the hole. Okay. And cut. As close as you can. Alright, you're going to let that dry really quick. Okay, so you're going to go to the next one. Do the same thing. You're going to put a little bit of glue. All the way around. Just a little bit. You need to go crazy. You're not going to push all the way in. Okay. You're going to cut. Just like that. This is styrene. It's very soft. Alright, next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your knife. Get a sharp knife. Alright. And you're going to cut as close as you can. Okay. Glue's still a little wet. That's okay. You should let it dry, but I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Alright, just don't cut yourself. Just be real careful. Right. And shave that sucker. This is soft plastic. It should cut easy. And just don't cut yourself. Just watch your fingers. Alright, that's good. Just try to get as close as you can to the... this knife is not sharp anymore too. That's the other problem. Just carve it out, and I'm trying to keep this in, you know, I'm usually don't like doing it this position right here, but I'm doing it because I'm trying to show you exactly how you do it. Right. Just get as close as you can. Shave it off. Try not to shave off the kit. Just do the plastic. Okay, so that's good. Alright, so what I do is I grab a Sharpie. Alright, once you got all that down, nick that a little bit, that's okay. Alright, and grab a Sharpie. I learned this from Gilbert from Red Dragon Model Works. He did it. I thought, oh, that was smart, you know. Alright, again, wear a mask when you're doing this. I'm going to go with a little bit of a rougher sandpaper. I got a little meat left on this. Okay, so you're going to start sanding until that whole line disappears. You know what? Let me put a little water so I don't get too much dust spreading around while I'm talking. Alright, do a little wet sanding here. Once that mark disappears, you know you got a nice and even nice and even, and that shouldn't show when you spray paint with the primer. Okay, and you're going to repeat that with all the holes. All right. If you don't have a wet or dry sandpaper, pick some up. You know, see, this stuff would be getting in the air right now, and you'd be sucking it up, and it gets everywhere. All right, so it's good to sand wet. You know. You do go through your sandpaper a little bit more, though, I do believe so. That's okay. You know, sandpaper is not that expensive. I picked these up at my shop, so. And they got all different grits, and I usually go in there and just grab some when I need them. All right, when you're drilling, you know, you can use a hand vise. I was cheating a little bit. I used my Dremel. But if you're using a power drill, what's going to happen is it's going to chip off maybe some of the edges. And you might have to go in there with a little putty and do a little, just with your finger. You can use the plastic putty, do it really quick, let it dry really fast, and then sand it down. Because it's going to be a little bit, you know, it's not going to be perfect circular. You're going to have a little chip piece or something like that. So just go over it with the putty, and you can hide those imperfections. Alright? Probably just like that right there. There's a little imperfection in there. You don't want that to show. So I'm going to sand it down just a little bit more, and then put a little bit more water here. See, I still have a little black in there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little Tamiya putty. It is messy, guys. It's not clean. I'm going to tell you that right now. You can do this outside, which is probably better. You just spend some time outside and see how fast this dries. There you go. Way better. Just roll your fingers through it. There you go. Perfect. Very simple, guys. Repeat the steps here. The other side, where you're gonna, when you get the kit, and then you're gonna have these on the door and these on top. Okay. Same thing with this one. Okay. And that's it as far as holes that need to be filled. All right. And I think this is the easiest way that you can do it. All right. And if you have, pick up some styrene, they're very cheap. You can pick them up on Amazon. I picked these up at my local, these are Plasti-Strut. They come in all different diameters. You could get the pack of assorted sizes, because you can always use these for something else. You know, they work great. I like to get the flats. I have flat styrene, you know. This is styrene plastic, a flat piece that I cut out, all right, from a big sheet. They're all very, very cheap to get. You can always use them for something. They come in clear. All right, and they come in different styles, and there's a bunch of stuff that you can get. Plasti-Strut, they got a lot of things that you can build for you if you want to make a diorama, whatever. You know, they've got a ton of stuff out there. Very cool stuff, and cheap to pick up. It's just plastic styrene. That's all it is. All right, and that's it right there. All right, so I'm going to leave it off right here. When I come back, we'll go over a couple things of what the printing process would be. and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so see you in a little bit. Okay, so let's start gluing. Now, there's a bunch of different products out there you can use. You can use two-part epoxy, super glues, and all that stuff like that. I don't think there's any problem with anything that I have used so far, but I like to use certain products a little bit more than others. So the two main ones that I'm going to be using today is this Magic Smooth. Okay, this is a little expensive, but you get this whole 2 jars, and you're not going to go through this whole thing anytime soon. All right, you don't need to use a lot to make sure you get a good bond. Okay, it's a resin and a hardener. This is like a glue, cement, 2-part epoxy, and then the other one I use these Bob Smith Industries Instant Cure. Okay. Now this is the medium, and then I have Instacure and MaxiCure, which is extra thick, and this is more for like a gap filling medium, but they work pretty good. The extra thick, this one takes about 5 to 10 seconds to get hard and to bond, and this one is about 10 to 25. Okay, so they both, they give you, this one gives you a little bit more working room and stuff, but I like to use this one more. Okay, and then I use this super fast thin, and I'll use the Insta Set with it to accelerate. All right, if I need it. Okay. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix the 2-part of this stuff, of the Magic Smooth, and what you do is, I like to use little toothpicks, and I'll show you why. All right, and this stuff right here, this is the resin. You don't need a lot. What am I going to be gluing here? So I'm going to be gluing the doors, the arms, and the head. All right. So, do I need more than that? I don't need more than that. That's good enough. So you're going to get the equal amount of that on the hardener. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Do not use the same stick inside the tub, because then you're going to have clumps of hard stuff in there, and it's not good. Alright, so you're going to grab the hardener. It's really icky stuff, but it works really good. Alright, if you're planning on piecing your kit for good anywhere, then you need a good bond. This is stuff to use. If you're going to use magnets, that's totally up to you. Then I would not. You can bond the magnets with this stuff. Your magnets will never come apart. I can tell you, guaranteed. All right. But you got to let it cure overnight. So I'm a little tired right now, to be totally honest with you. It's kind of late right now. I got printers going like crazy, and there's a lot of noise going on up here, and I'm getting tired because I have to get up early tomorrow too, so I have to go to bed early. This is life, so I do have a job, and I have to be there early tomorrow, unfortunately. And today's Thursday, and I hate Friday overtime. And when I'm telling you I have to go in early, I have to be there by 2 a.m. So I'm not in the mood to, I hate Fridays. Just going, I don't know. It's just me, maybe. I don't know, but any the other day of the week but Fridays. I'm a little bit of a night owl, so, but 2 a.m. is, that's pretty early for anybody. All right. Yeah, this stuff gets really sticky, but the way that I do it, guys, is I just roll the toothpicks, all right? And I stir around, so this way you get a good mix. And then you're going to see it turn like a milky white kind of color, like a bone milky white. And that's, when you got a good mix. All right, so make sure you scrape the bottom, get everything mixed in together. Now this stuff takes a little while to cure, but once it's cured, and that's it. You're not gonna break this thing apart. I'm telling you right now. Now, if you want to glue your magnets, if you're gonna magnetize, this is really good to do your magnets with. All right, I think I got a good mix. There you go. Okay. All right, so next, the things, remember I was telling you yesterday that we need to glue together are the doors. Okay. And just make sure that you have a good, this is workable. Right, but you don't need to put a lot. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit. And watch what I do. Alright, doesn't take much. You're going to spread it really good. Okay. Alright, you don't want this stuff to, spill all over the place either, right? Artthur has his logo everywhere. You see right there, everywhere. You go, you'll find it everywhere, I'm telling you. He's good about that. He's really good about that. I don't blame him either, so. Okay, so, you got plenty of play time to this stuff so you can align it. Okay, and that's it right there. Okay, what you're going to do is, I'll show you right now. You grab a little Q-tip with alcohol, or I have these alcohol wipes right here, and just clean it off, all right? Clean off any excess that comes pulling out. Okay, and you might want to clean up like the little, okay? You don't want to leave, because when it gets hard, it's going to be a real pain to get off. But make sure that you got a nice smooth on the edges over here, okay? Because you don't want to have too much of a lip, because you're going to have to sand it down, and then it's going to be a real pain for you to get it off. So just make sure you got a nice sealer right there. Like I said, this was a test print, and I needed to do a little more work. I hate throwing things away. All right, so when Hobby Mike sent me these for the test print he said, oh, so, there's some things I said send it, because I don't want to throw anything away. I'm a little bit of a scutch when it comes to things like that. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to have either a Q-tip with alcohol, and you're going to wipe this off. Now what you could do is you could try to push some of that stuff in to already have some kind of seam. So now what I'm going to do is, since I filled it in a little bit, I'm going to wipe it off. Alright. Just like that. And the alcohol will take care of some of that extra tackiness and stuff. So, okay. So I got a good bond there. It's not going to move. Now you can, if you want to secure it with a rubber band, you can do that. Just wrap a huge rubber band around it if you have them. That's totally up to you. Alright. Now you can use two glues. Like I can use a little bit of this to hold it in place. You know what I mean? But you don't want to mix too much of that glue with this one, because it has some kind of it could have some kind of adverse effect where the bond might not work. I don't know. I usually put a little drop maybe on something to hold it down or hold it in place with this thing too, but try not to mix it too much. I don't know what kind of effect that will have, to be honest with you. All right. I know some glues don't work well with others. They don't play nice. So, all right. So there you go. I spread that down there on the bottom. I'm gonna gently remove any tackiness in there, so this way you don't have to do a whole lot of sanding when you get done. But there you go, right there, guys. That's the first part right there. That is glued. I'm gonna put this to the side, let it dry overnight. When I come back tomorrow after work, continue to work on this. Okay. All right. So next, let's grab something else here. Put it to the side. Show you how to do the head. Definitely not you're gonna use this for the head as far as seam work, but I am gonna glue it. I'm gonna let it sit. Okay, just smear it on the key. Okay, you don't want to smear it on all over the place. You don't need a lot, guys. All right, but there you go. Get a little bit of that excess off. There you go. Put a little bit here. It sits on that neck right there, on the edges right there. Just to make sure I got a good bond. Alright. Alright, let's put the head. Okay. And when you're going to do the seam work, it doesn't need a lot. You see that? Okay. You could probably get away with a little UV 3D resin. As long as it doesn't go in, you're just doing the surface, you should be fine. You don't want to get resin inside that's not cured because the light can't get to it. Because then you're going to start getting leeches and it's going to ruin your paint job. So that's why I don't like doing that, because I've done it before, and you know that I did a where it probably got into one of the cracks and didn't get cured, and then you got you leaching all over your paint. It ruins your paint job. All right, so you want to be real careful when you do that. All right. So you see right there on the next side, you can't barely see anything. All right, that's what you want. Okay, so next, I'm going to have to do the arms. All right, and I am going to use a little bit of glue, the other glue. But first I'm going to put some glue in here, because I want this part right here to the key. All right. And you don't want to. The good thing is its escape route is going in, but you don't want that to come out like, Okay, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on these edges over here, okay? And the reason why I want to try to see if this glue will fill some of those gaps, and I don't have to do a lot of work when I come back around. Let's see how much I'm putting. I'm not putting a whole lot. I cut the tip of this thing so many times because it builds up. And now that I got this white ass, and a lot of glue comes out, so just want to be careful. Same thing, if you need to wipe anything, you use the alcohol. You can use a Q-tip or the rag, okay? So let's put the arm in, nice and gently, and then squeeze it in there. Alright, let me get another Q-tip. Okay, just in case. Right. I do need to clean up a little bit. Right here. I don't want that to dry like that. So I'm going to need just a little bit of seam work down here on the bottom arm right here, which is okay. It's not a lot of work. If you guys see that right there, the little gap right there. Oops, right there. Okay. And this is not too bad down here either, so. Alright. We'll fill that in, no problem. Alright. Yeah, see any of the excess glue that pushed out, just clean it up with a little bit of alcohol. Should be good to go. This is a little seam work right there. This kid's coming out real nice. Alright, now it's up to you if you want to put magnets. I could have got a better seam there if I would have worked it a little more. I think, I'm just a little excited to try to get this done, to be honest with you. So, but if you work at you could put a magnet, or you can use this arm with the back. That's an option that I'm giving you in your box when you receive it. You're gonna get an extra arm. You could do whatever you want. It's totally up to you how you want to go about it. All right, so that's pretty good. Okay, let's do the other arm, and then we're gonna call it a night, fellas. All right. Now the pants I'm gonna do, later on, and you know, because I want to get and paint in the inside and things like that, and I'm pretty happy where I got the gap in there for that. If I need to fill it in, I can always use a little bit of glue or whatever, but you know, we'll get to, when we get to that, I'll show you how I do it. All right, so again, I'm going to put a little bit of this stuff on the key, or you could put it in the keyhole. Okay. All right, and then let's put a little bit around the edges. Okay. And we're going to prime this. We're going to wash and prime after we do all the gaps. There's a little. After we do all the gaps and stuff like that, we're going to wash and prime. You know, but prepping is a big part of this whole process. Okay. Alright, so I got enough glue there. Alright. I know I'm going to need a little seam work on the top side because when I dry fitted, I know that needed a little work. But that's about it. Okay, it's going to need just a little bit of work over here on this whole type side right here, and that's it. That's about it as far as the seam work for that. Alright, so there he is right there, guys. Make sure that's in there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little rubber band around this arm here and let it dry overnight. Just make sure it's the seam. What you can do is you just make sure you don't get no glue in the rubber band. Trust me, I've done that before. Didn't realize there was glue there, and I really messed it up. I had to cut that rubber band out and everything. Alright, so right there on the shoulder part right there. Shit, I took the I didn't put no glue on this, so that's why it came off. But just let me give it a little twist to tighten it up. That's it. And we're not going to put the, there we go, just like that. I hope this one holds here, and we don't have a rubber band on that, just because the position of the arm is kind of weird. It's got good tension. There's no glue there. Alright, so it should hold. And this is how I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Alright. I'm going to let this dry overnight, like I said. Yeah, this stuff is almost dry right there. So it should hold. This should hold too. Shouldn't have any problem with that. But that's right there. Okay. Alright, so we got the doors and we got him all done, ready for doing a little more seam work. Right now everything is glued. Okay, so I got an extra arm. Alright, but everything is glued that needed to be glued. Okay, the rest of the stuff we're going to glue afterwards. Alright, like all the rails and the base and everything like that, and the shoes and all that stuff that can wait. Another thing that I forgot to tell you guys the other day, I'm not sure if I did or not. I don't remember. I don't think I did. But the keys, if you're having a hard time fitting the keys into the pants, into this part of the pants and stuff, this one belongs here. There's two different size keys. One's a larger one, and the other one is a smaller one. You got the shoes. You might have to shave off the top of the key a little bit to make it fit. All right. And let me show that I shaved off enough just to make it still have a nice tight fit. Okay, but you might have to shave some of it off so you can push it in. All right. I'm not sure if I told you guys that or not the other day, but I had to do that. There you go. Okay. And I like to paint the shoes separate and stuff. Make sure I get in underneath and do all the shadows and everything like that. All right, but so there you go. You shave the keys off on the top so they can fit right in. It doesn't give you a problem. Just don't push too hard because you might end up snapping something. You don't want to do that. Just shave the keys off on the top and you should be fine. All right. Just wanted to give you guys the heads up on that. All right. But we're gonna tomorrow when I come back tomorrow, we're gonna do the seam work on the neck, on the arms, and on the doors. Okay. And then after that we can wash and paint. Man, I'm really excited. All right. I hope you guys are too. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Everything is moving along very nicely. This kid's gonna look fabulous once it's done painting. I really hope that I do justice to the sculpt. You know what I mean? Artthur did a magnificent job, and I'm so excited to get this thing started. All right, guys, I'll see you later. All right, welcome back, and I mixed already some Fix It. Okay, just to have it here, and we're gonna start finishing up with the figure, so we can finally, prime it and get down to painting. Hopefully, won't be a lot of rework to do. So, but first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna UV clear the neck area, and I'm gonna putty the arms. All right, I got a little bit of a gap there, and a little bit of a gap here on the bottom. So we're gonna do first is this here on the neck, and I don't have much of a gap there, so I'm comfortable with doing this with UV resin. All right. Like I said to you before, this got hard on me, but I still got a little bit of fluid in there. I'll use it up before I throw it away. Just being lazy, I guess. I want to get another bottle going. Just use this one up while I have it. All right. What I like to do is just get it started. I don't like to do a lot, like squeeze a lot in there, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to go around the neck. Just do that much right there for now. Now, NY 3D Creations has a kit that you can buy with the UV resin, the lamp. It's got like a little light holder too. Well, you don't have to do this. You just put this thing up to that light, and I'll leave a link down below if you guys are interested with that. ny3dcreations.com. If you check it out, they have that kit there. If you guys are interested. I just want to make sure that it's clear. Yeah, that's good. Hit that bottom right there a little bit. So let's continue around the neck. All right. I missed a little spot there, but I'll get back to it. So I missed a little spot here. You also don't want to put too much because you don't want to go crazy sanding either. So just do little layers there, here and there. Go back and check it out, see if you need to put any more. When you guys start sanding, don't forget to put a mask on. Okay. All right, so I can now get on and start. I got this little sponge that I cut off from that 3M sponge right there. This is the reason why I got that is this one is a little more flexible. Okay. And I can get in there. I should get a little bigger piece because my hands are kind of big. Then you start getting in there and start sanding. It's a little better. A little more oomph in there in the beginning, and then we'll work our way down to a super fine. Put a little water. So I'm going to be using a little wet dry sandpaper. Also helps with the dust. It won't fling a lot of dust everywhere. Okay, so as I'm doing this, one thing that I'm going to recommend for you guys that are putting this together is maybe wait to do the arms last. Do the head first and do the arms last. All right, because I'm having a little hard time getting into sanding the neck, and I think I would have been okay a little bit better if I didn't have this arm in the way. So I'm gonna do. I think I still get it. It's just gonna take me a little bit longer. That's all. Just to make it a little easier for you. You can still do it if you have the right tools, but it's just gonna make it just a little bit harder. That's all. And we still get it done, but. You can see that, but I'm getting there. Okay. Just try to get a nice smooth finish. All right. Then go in there with a smoother sandpaper or sponge and smooth everything out. All right. I think I did a pretty good job there. Okay. Just touch this up right here a little bit. Okay. So that's how it's done right there. I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully nothing will show up when I do the priming. All right, so let's get to work with the putty. All right, so I'm gonna just grab just a little bit. And you can roll it. Roll really nice thin pieces. Okay. And I'll start with this arm right here. See where I want to do the seam line right there. Alright, let's leave it right there for a minute. What did I do with it? See, this is what happens when you have a mess and you can't find anything. Oh, here we go. Alright, just trying to find this thing. I'm just going to put a little bit more solvent in there and grab some of my tools here. Alright, and then all you're going to do is you're going to start pushing some of the stuff in those gaps. Alright. You can stretch this down. It's like I need to stretch some of this stuff down. Alright. What you're going to do is you're going to push into those gaps. Take any excess off. A little bit right there. Just spread it. Alright. Just push it in the gap. Get it wet. so we can thin it out. What I'm doing is like I'm kind of pushing it in, but also spreading it out. See how I'm spreading it down as I'm pushing in. All right. You see like this watery stuff? Make sure you get that out, because when it dries, if it dries like that, it's going to get hard like that, you know? So make sure you wipe that stuff off, any excess like that, so this way it doesn't dry on you like that and cause any problems later on. You're going to have to sand. You don't want it to cover any detail either, so if you got any detail in there, make sure you clean that stuff off. So I'll keep on going until I get a nice seamless. There you go. So you smear it in there and just get those gaps. This one gap right there is getting stubborn right there, but I got it right there. Alright. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. See right there how it came off? There we go. Come the other way. Let's put a little more fluid in there. Just trying to keep this on the camera so you guys can see that, what I'm doing. It's very simple stuff. Smear it on there, clean it up. And hopefully you don't have to do a whole lot of sanding to do. If you use the fluid properly, just try not to get it too wet, but you want to make sure that you can work it. Make sure you're not covering up any detail. I gotta get that stuff out of the crevices right there. You see it? Stuff where I don't want it. All right. And just make sure everything is nice and clean in there. There you go. So you gotta let this dry. Okay. Just let it dry overnight. Don't rush. Take your time. It looks good. All right. So we're going to get a little bit here. Right here. If you can see that, just a little bit right there. All right. And then same thing goes for a little bit in there. All right. We'll try to get a nice smooth transition. All right, guys. So there it is. You see those right there, the gap filling right there. Okay. Very nice. Okay, same thing with the bottom there. All right, so you got to let this set and dry. Okay, and so once that dries, I'll come back and I'll sand it down just a little bit, and then that's it. We're done. We can start priming. All right, very excited for that. So when okay, so when we return, we'll check everything out. We'll sand it out a little bit, clean it up, and then hopefully after we got done priming, we don't have to sand anymore. Hopefully. All right, but if we do, we'll have to do it. So hopefully it's not a lot. Let me put it that way. All right, but I'm very happy where things are right now, and I feel comfortable with it. So next time I come back, we'll sand, and then hopefully we'll prime. Yeah, so I was trying to get set up, and I had a camera issue, so all right, but hold on a second. I think I'm gonna have to fix something there. I don't like that. All right, but let's sand this. I'm gonna have to putty a little bit in here. Guess I can still see a gap, so it was late last night, so. Okay, so I'm going to smooth these out. Alright, and just follow the process. I'll go back in there and fix that real quick. But I'm showing you how I smooth out these edges. Nice and gently. Okay. One thing that I was saying before is you might want to wait to put the head on there, or do the head first and then do the arms. Make one or the other easier for you to do, because they get in the way a little bit. So I would do one. You know, I was in a little hurry and a little excited to try to get this done, but you want to make sure you do it right. Just take your time. It's just a little schmeckle in there. It's nothing major. Clean that out with a. All right. So after I fix this part right here, I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you guys because it's a little bit too redundant. Just fix a little bit of the seam in there. Shouldn't be too bad. But once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and I use Dawn dish detergent. Now in your area, if you don't have Dawn, the brand dish detergent, I recommend something that breaks up grease and is a good degreaser kind of dish soap. The reason for that is because don't forget that you're handling this with your fingers and a bunch of other stuff, and then the resin. You want to make sure that it's clean and everything like that before you put the primer on. So you're gonna have to let this dry. Once you wash it with the soap, and I use an old toothbrush and I just clean everything off. All right, I clean everything off really, really good everywhere, and make sure if you get water in there, make sure that you have a way to drain it out. You're gonna have to let this dry completely before you put on your primer. Okay. Now when you put your primer on, do it in a well ventilated area. Obviously, I like to do mine outside. All right, but go ahead and do that, and then once I'm done with that, with the priming, and it's dry, I'll bring it in and we'll check to see if there's any imperfections that need to be fixed. And I'll go over that with you real quick. It doesn't want to hide anything. I mean, it is the nature of the hobby. Seam lines, gaps, little imperfections and whatnot. All those things you want to take care of. And a lot of times they show up when you do the priming. All right, and make sure that the primer that you use, hold on a second. I think I got a can up here. I use a couple different ones. Now this is filler primer, high build formula, fills surface imperfections. All right, and this stuff is sandable too. All right, and I also have one that's a filler primer. This also says sandable on it, but this one is just as sandable as the other one. All right, I'm not sure if the same brand or one. I might be Krylon, the other one I have. This is a Rust-Oleum. All right, but you want to use this kind of primer, okay? And it's a great primer to do the kit. Now you're not going to do, when you're priming, don't do it close. You want to go far away and mist it. All right, and if you feel you need to do another layer, you do it in the areas that you need to do, but you don't want to do too much where you're going to hide all the details. Okay, so just be careful. Do it from far away. Don't go here and put a heavy coat on it. All right, and a heavy coat is not going to hide an imperfection. Okay, all right, it hide the little tiny ones, but it's not going to hide, like if you got something that needs to be filled still, this is not going to do it. You're going to need to do and get in there and do some work. All right, it'll hide the minor imperfections, but it's not going to hide like things that need to be worked on. You know what I mean? This is not magic. So, all right, so make sure you do it from a good distance, a light mist all over. Wait till it dries. If you need to go back on, and then you go back on, you do another one. All right, but try not to do too heavy of a coat where you're going to lose those details. Okay, that's the one thing that you want to be careful with. All right, so next time when I come back, this should be washed and it should be primed. Okay, so I'm going to go and finish doing this, and then this way I can finish up, and then I can wash it and prime it, and then we'll go over whatever results we get from that. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so real quick, so these are primed, but there's a couple things that I need to fix. It's really, really good. There's no bumps or divots or anything that I can see. I do need to fix a little gap. Let's see if I can focus. See it right there on the bottom, just very small. And the rest of this arm is good. And I need to fix a little. Something's gonna drive me crazy. I mean, I can probably get away with it, but I know that it's there, so there's like a little. I can't, maybe because of light you can't see it, but it's something like right there. All right. And just fix the hair a little bit. I need to do that. Other than that, everything else is fine. All right. Okay, so this is how the priming came out. Oh, the neck. There's a little spot on the neck. Okay, right there on the bottom that I need to fix. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. And I'm going to show you how I do it really quick. And I also have two spots on the one of the pieces of the base. I'll show it to you later because right now it's drying outside. I gave it another spray over when I got home. So I'm letting it dry right now. I just want to dry it, let it dry it, then I'll bring it in, then I'll show you what's going on with that. But we'll fix this real quick, okay? And the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to just use some resin, okay? And we're going to UV it and then sand it. All right, but first, before I apply anything, you want to sand this down a little bit, right where you're going to place the juice, okay? Like I said, when you do this stuff, and after you prime, a lot of times you're going to come back and find things that need to be fixed, need to be touched up. So you come back and you do it real quick. All right, no big deal. All right, and then what you do is you wipe it off, all right, with a damp rag. You could just wipe it right off. Not wet, very lightly damp. Just get all that dusting out. You could blow a little air with your air hose, with your, if you have an airbrush or something with air, you can just, and then wipe it down. Make sure you get all the dust out. Okay. All right, so let me start off with the, let's do the arm. Let's do this side here. A little divot. I want to get some on the tip. If you feel like you put too much like I just did, just grab a Q-tip. Got this old one here. Another one that was a little gnarly. Just spread it. Don't put too much in there. Perfect. Let's do the neck. All right, so let's start sanding this down and cleaning it up. And you don't need to go crazy with the sanding. Alright, it shouldn't be that hard. So if you're doing it too hard, then you're not doing it right. Alright, take your time. Nice and gently blend everything in together again. This way it won't show up when you spray it. Just clean this up over here. Alright, I don't see that gap. There was like a minor gap there in the on the bottom that I missed. So I mean, I don't think it was even a gap. It was just like, you know. All right, so there you have it. All right, and I'll go check the, when I come back. I'll check the base if there's anything that needs to be done. I'll show you really quick, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, almost there, guys. Almost there. All right, so let me show you what I got with the doors. That's it right there. That's one. Okay, you can't tell where those drain holes were. It came out nice, but one thing I need to fix on this door is this right here. You see that little... Alright, so I gotta just put a little putty on that. And what I'm gonna use the Tamiya putty real quick and just smear it on there and then sand it. And then I got a little nick right here. You can see that. I don't know what the hell happened with that, so we're gonna have to fix that. I can leave it, make it look like damage. I mean, you know, I might even do that. You know, so that's not a bad idea. So, but there it is right there, guys. There's the doors. They came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that, the way they came out. All right, so just got to fix that little piece right there on the door. Just put a little putty on there and then smear it, and you should be good. The one thing I need to fix on the other thing that I noticed that I need to fix here is the platform piece. Okay, and one of the holes, drain holes, is like a little nick right there. I don't know if you can see it. Let me take my finger out, and it's right there. You see it on this side right here, and another one very small here. Now I can see that. All right, so what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of Tamiya putty, smear it on there. Let's do that right now over here. So let me put a little bit. Now the working time on this stuff is not that much. You got to be really quick. All right. Just wiping it off. Okay. So we're going to let that one dry a little bit. And then I'll come back and sand it. This other side is okay. Alright. So there he is right there. Okay. He came out great. Everything looks perfect. Alright. So. And the legs. Here we go. Alright, so everything came out perfect. Everything is good. I'm happy where it's at. So we're gonna start painting. So I think this is gonna be the final part here for this. We're gonna leave it here. I don't want to keep on boring you guys with with stuff, but I hope you learned something. I hope if you don't, you know, if you have any fear or anything like that of handling kits and things like that to prepping for painting, it's not that hard. Take your time to do it. I hate to say this, and I don't want to sound too critical, but I see a lot of guys post pictures on. I'm in a bunch of different Facebook pages, like, you know, for 3D printing and modeling and anything like that. And I see a lot of guys that don't take the time to do things like that. And then the final result, you're gonna end up seeing, you know, you do a beautiful paint job, but then you got, you know, like the little bumps and divots that are showing, and you never, and that's not, you know, you're not finishing the product, you know, pretty much. What you want to do is always have like a nice smooth surface. Take your time. It's work sometimes, right? But at the end of this is going to pay off. Your kit's going to look fantastic. It's a shame that you put a lot of time into painting, but you're not taking time to prepping the kit. Okay, and you know, those things sometimes, you know, to you it might not be noticeable, to somebody else it would, and you know, and things like that. Take your time, do it. You know, nobody's criticizing you as far as, you know, anything like that. It's just, you know, sometimes we miss things. I miss things all the time. Trust me. I'll go back and look at a kit and I'll be like, oh man, I can't believe I missed that. You know, so things happen. You know, you sometimes you don't see things, you know, right away, and you know, then you catch them later on, and then you're like, oh man, I don't want to paint this whole thing again. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. It happens. Trust me when I tell you, it happens. All right, but if you take your time, you go over like we did to, you know, like what I showed you, you should be fine. You know, it's not that hard. You know, you got a slew of material out there in the market that you can use for this stuff. I try to show you the stuff that I like to use. There are stuff that other people like to use, and you can try those too. I encourage you to go and check out other people, what they do out there, all right, and how they do it, and the process that they do to try to get a nice finished kit. I encourage you to go check those guys out. You know, one of my favorites is Matt Morozic, you know, Vincefield Customs. You know, I do watch Ground Affected and the Creative Collector, and you know, Red Dragon Model Works, my mentor, and all these other guys. I'm constantly watching YouTube, seeing what they're coming out. If there's anything new methods that they may come out with, they share it with you. Try them. Don't be, you know, don't be afraid to try them. I showed you the way that I do it and the way that I like to do it. You could take some from me, some from somebody else, and put them together and come up with your own system. That's totally fine too. Or, you know, whatever. But, you know, try to take your time to finish the kit properly, so this way when you start laying down paint, you're not going to have any problems. All right, and you don't have to go back and rework it now that you got paint on it. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to put the primer, especially for 3D printed kits. You use an automotive primer. It's going to hide a lot of some of the minor imperfections, but you're going to have to get in there and do a little work on the other ones. All right, and take your time doing them. And I show you the best way that I know of how that works for me to do those things. Okay, so I hope you guys learned something. All right, and I hope you guys, you let me know in the comments down below if you've learned something from here, and if you think the video was good. I know it's going to be a little long, and the reason why I'm doing this is because this is my kit. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting a little bit more of time into it, so people, if they want to paint the kit, they have a little reference to go to, and and use it. You know, if they're a beginner or whatnot. You know. But leave a comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys, and let me know if you learned something. I really appreciate it. Thank you for spending the time. The next video up is going to be the painting video. Okay, so I don't know how many parts this one's going to be, and how many parts the painting video is going to be, but that's where we're at right now. We're jumping from here into the painting. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe below, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch it. Peace.